folks. Welcome to our most recent edition of Wednesday Night Talks. Alrighty. Well, we are awaiting Mari Wheeler of Sage Ranch LLC, and she's going to talk a little bit about her journey tonight and some of the things she's been through, what led her down this path, but also a little bit about her experiences with metaphysical gatekeeping. And I do apologize. Wi-Fi has been really weird this last week and a half, and we're not sure what's going on. It's all over the different towns in Iowa. It's all the different services, MetroNet, MediaCom, CenturyLink. It's horrible anyway, but all of them are having issues, and I don't know if it's the excessive heat. I mean, technically it shouldn't affect it, but it does. Plus, we've had a lot of storms today, or at least I think it was raining. Oh, well. Anyway. All right, let's go see if Marie is able to get in. No. Let's see here. Okay. This is on. Well, folks, this interview may not happen after all, because I am not sure if she can actually get in or not. Wow. Okay, then. Hold on here. I will message her. Okay. We are live. Where you at? Okay. Alrighty. Anyway, in other news, we backed off on the events for a little bit at the shop simply because I just was in no physical shape to do anything with them. But we've had smaller ones, and we've had some really awesome vendors, and they've been so fun. I think our Friday the 13th decompressive was super fun. We had a reader, and we had our massage therapist, Katie, and she did her singing bowls and everything. It was just awesome. And I know the people that came in, they were wild about it. So that was really fun. Happy belated Father's Day to all. I'm doing a little bit of a piece on my dad, so I've been working on that. So it's going to be kind of post Father's Day. Celestial Imprints is still in the works again. Because, oh dear God, we have had 3 major dropouts on it. So it's either tech, hex work, or just insanity. But I'm just going to go divine and universal guidance. Hold on. I got a comment here. Dennis, how can it be a Tuesday night talk on a Wednesday? It's mysterious. All right, hold on. Marie's in. Marie, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Can you see me?
No. I see the little cell phone rectangle, and I see the round thing with the eye on it.
Oh,
The lowercase I.
Okay. Let me figure this out. Oh God. How do I do this?
Hold on. If I show you what I'm seeing.
That is so weird.
You just got to turn on your camera, babe.
Oh, it's not turned on?
Just got to turn it on. Okay, I just sent you a picture of what I'm seeing.
That is so weird because this is what I am seeing. So this is weird. Start camera. And it's showing that error. So I see what you're seeing. Let me, yeah. Here. So I'm just going to record so you can see what I see. So here's a stop cam, and then I try again, and then it does this. So I'm going to send this to you.
That's odd. All right, let's take a look.
Okay, set.
Okay, so you're on your desktop or your phone?
Oh,
Marie, are you on your desktop or your phone?
This is so weird. Yeah. Desktop.
Okay. All right.
I can do my phone if you would prefer.
Let's try the phone then. Go ahead and click out, hang up, and take that link back in through your phone. Normally, the desktop is one of the best ones to be on, so I don't know what's going on, but here we go. All right. Hang up and go back in through your phone.
All right, so let me exit out of this one.
Yep. All right, folks. So tech gremlins are striking again, but you know what? Hey, it's always a fun time. Let's see here. Okay. All right. And for all my lovely people that are sticking with us, I really appreciate it. I apologize. I don't know what's going on tech-wise. This has gotten just bizarre. As it is, I'm looking into a different internet provider. But as I said before, I don't think the internet's the whole thing. Anyways, also, quick explanation of why this Tuesday Night Talk is happening Wednesday. As you all know, my kiddo fell on the playground, fractured his foot. So yesterday was his orthopedic doctor checkup, and he's doing good. We're still going to have to baby it for a little bit longer, but I am really excited. He's healing fast, so yay. He's irritated because he can't go out to the park until that thing's healed. God, that child is so irritated. He is so motion happy. But he's healing up well, and yeah, I'm very excited. Just a little thing. But doctor visits always, they just take everything out of he and I. It's just been, it's been rough. Ever since his clubfoot treatment, he has just been, I'm pretty sure there's medical PTSD, although they won't diagnose him because he's so young and he's mostly nonverbal. So, but I'm pretty sure. I have some of it just from watching his treatment. So, clubfoot treatment is not for the faint of heart. Well, I mean, maybe it is for somebody out there in the world, but not me. And not kiddo either. But they're doing his x-rays and he's looking good. He's looking healthy. So I'm really happy. And the doctor recommended going to the pool for him. So he is going to be happy as a little lark. I'm really happy with this doctor. He knows what he's doing. He's got a lot of experience. He's very grounded. Helps he has a bunch of kids himself, so he knows what's going on. Anyways, and he kind of knows how to treat kids and stuff like that. And he's very, how do I say this? He's really wonderful with kids. And Arthur does not like doctors, but I think once he figured out that he'd be able to go to the park again, he was happier. And once he found out he was kind of mandated to go to the pool, Wub was extra happy. I'm like, you want to go to the pool? He's like, oh, wait a minute. Okay. All right. I can take this. All right. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Poor Marie. Hold on. What the? Oh my God. Okay. All right. We got traction.
Hi, yeah.
Hey, what up?
But of course this would happen.
No, the tech gremlins have been really weird. I told you, I think I mentioned on the roundtable, the New Age magazine that I'm doing, the first issue, we've had it like completely go fritz out 3 times.
Yeah.
Okay, it ain't natural. So it is what it is. Moving on. All right. So I did not read what you sent me because I want to keep it fresh. I want to make sure I'm talking as one of the audience members.
Okay.
So state your name. Tell me what you do.
All right. So my name is Mighty Wheeler. I am a medicine woman. I do a lot. So I actually started by harvesting sage, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. but I really help people to remember who they are. And my whole mission is really not to gatekeep anything. And I think that's something that really frustrated me as I was going through this entrepreneurship was like a whole lot of gatekeeping. So I
Now,
had
hold
to,
on, wait a minute. Even while you were going through the entrepreneurship part,
yes.
whoa. Tell me a little bit about that. I've had my own struggles and interesting journeys. You know, I've been doing this business a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. And my dad was in business for himself way before I was born. So
Mm.
I'm curious, what happened with the entrepreneurship part?
I have met a lot of beautiful healers along the way. And I remember just asking for guidance or if I felt called, like I could share one example. So I
Remember,
created
no
like,
names though, because we don't dox people or cancel them.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Don't say any names of people you've had a bad
No,
experience
I'm
with.
not.
Okay,
Nope,
cool. Go for it.
not saying names. I have had different times or where I wanted to create or where I did create, whether it was a ritual kit or a healing course or whatever it was. And I remember asking different healers, like, hey, how do you feel about this? And immediately, or I would ask for a little bit of guidance, like, can you help give me a little bit more information in case I don't know it all? Because I guess I would like second guess myself or question myself a lot. And a lot of them would say, like, you shouldn't be doing this. You're not capable of. Um,
What were their
and
practical criticisms? Because it is valid if you tell somebody, hey man, you shouldn't be doing this. What were they worried about your experience? Were they worried about your knowledge, your fact checking? What
it,
was their practical
it
reason?
was really experience, but it was also, I feel like it was more ego driven. It was
Okay.
more it was more so like, no, I've done this for so many years and no, you shouldn't be able to do this. And for a long time that kept me stuck. And keep in mind, I grew up around curanderas,
Mhm.
healers all my life. And so I did question a lot of it. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not capable of this. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I shouldn't be harvesting sage. Oh, I got a lot of crap about that,
All right.
That's a whole other topic.
I know. Believe
There
me.
is there is so much, yeah, but let's focus. So gatekeeping. Um,
Basically, I want to know because one of the things, and I will tell you, I've run into plenty of it myself, and you've never met my dad, otherwise you would understand my attitude toward the whole thing. My dad can deny a human being out of existence. He's a Capricorn. He's got the willpower that is like unmatched, okay? And my dad loves himself. He's very grounded about it, but he's like, get out of my way. Yeah,
yeah.
okay, that kind of thing. But at the same time, he always makes sure to check all his facts. He is very thorough.
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
Nobody's harder on himself than him. And in that way, nobody's harder on myself than me.
Right.
Okay. So when somebody comes to me and is like, well, you should, I'm like, well, what's your practical reason? I'm willing to hear you out. Well, but okay, get out. Go. Move it.
Yeah.
Go. But you will find in the metaphysical and the pagan and a lot of other
Uh,
communities, there's that. And the problem
yes.
is we're actually supposed to be mentoring the younger generation so they can take over so we can retire.
Yes.
Like
It's
I
like,
pass the torch to you. Goodbye.
yes.
It's like, don't call me.
It,
Have you
yeah.
seen I think it's Stand Against Evil or something? This town is overrun and infested by demons, right?
Mhm.
And the sheriff has been dealing with it and dealing with it. I mean, he's lost his wife to it. It's just, he's tired. So the
Yeah.
new sheriff comes in and he's like, okay, boom, 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 here you go. Bye. And she's constantly having to go to him because she doesn't know what, she's doing, who could. And so she finally has to knock on his door. And he's like, why are you knocking on my door? I tried to call you. And you see that the phone beside him, the landline is off the hook. She's like, I called your cell phone. He's like, yeah, I know. I let it ring. Works good like that. You know, and he's sitting there watching TV because this guy has just had enough. And I think, honestly, that is my perspective on it. It's like, works good like that. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
don't call me. I taught you everything. We're good. See you. Goodbye. You know. But the thing is, as an elder in the area, and I'm not saying you or I are elders yet. We ain't there yet. Okay,
No.
there's got to be a lot more gray in our hair.
Mhm. I know. I'm like, oh my
The world
God.
has to kick the shit out of us just a little bit longer in
Yeah.
order for that to happen. And who am I kidding? I'm going to be working till I'm dead anyway. But the thing is, our job is to mentor the next
Yes.
generation. And the thing with gatekeeping is, as I mentioned before, and I'm going to bring on tonight I've got a co-host because I feel like absolute dog poop.
Yeah.
So I do apologize, but I feel like crap. The thing with metaphysical gatekeeping, why it does not work. The idea, I understand it. Not everybody should have the knowledge because people can be real assholes.
Yeah.
But the problem is now so much of it is out.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people are doing bad things with it. Now we need a counter. You need the counter spells if you were in Hogwarts, okay? You need all the stuff to keep yourself and your kids and everybody safe.
Yes.
Okay, and the problem is the elders are not stepping in. They're not like, yeah, well, you know, and I understand you want to sit on the couch and watch TV. I would too, but I would not in good conscience be able to do that while so much of the world is sinking.
Yeah, and just a little background. So I used to work in mental health, especially in Iowa, in Des Moines, and that's
it. Come on.
I
introduced to you, Nicole.
Oh,
Nicole.
hi.
Green screen up. I gotta put the green screen up. I was trying to figure out. We're working on the green screen. Just keep going. We're very technical around here, very high tech.
It's okay. So yeah, working in mental health, and it just felt again like gatekeeping. I don't know how else to describe it.
Now I'm going to have you describe for those who don't know what gatekeeping is. Hold on. Sheena Lynn Jacobus. Hello, ladies. Mwah. Hello, Sheena. We love you.
So gatekeeping to me is really holding all the information, the grimoire, the book, the everything that you know, because you don't want someone else to know that. And it's all about like, it's really comes down to like, there's not enough for everybody. So this is truly
a poverty mindset. That's poverty mindset.
Exactly. But if we're in this journey to help heal and empower others or to teach, we shouldn't be gatekeeping.
No. But now I do understand some people are insane. Okay. There are some people that you're like, no. But there are also, and there are stores even here. I think some of them have shut down now because we've had a whole rash of closings, which I understand. They would sell conjuring kits to beginners. They don't care.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's what I mean. That's why gatekeeping is no longer valid. Oh, I looked up the definition while you were chatting. Gatekeeping is literally the activity of trying to control who gets particular resources, power, or opportunities and who does not. We are seeing the decline of cultural gatekeeping, the control over what is deemed worthy exerted by critics, educators, and so forth. And unfortunately,
so then we limit people. We limit to give or to allow others to step into their power and their innate gifts by not giving them the information or the resources. If someone comes to me, now keep in mind, I have different services that I provide, but anytime I get a message in my DM, I always answer it. Yeah. And I've always been told, don't always answer, I set those strong boundaries. Like, obviously I don't give, like, I'm not going to give like a whole 10-hour, day with them, but it doesn't align with me to keep it to myself.
Well, and now I don't know if you've ever felt this, but it's like a freeze response. And
Yeah.
for the longest time, I didn't know what it was. But then I realized every time I froze, even if I fought through it, every time I froze, it was because I was not supposed to talk to that person.
Yep.
Or a certain piece of information was supposed to be left out
Yeah,
until a
it's
later
like
time.
they're not ready for it. And a lot of
And
times
that's where discernment comes in, right?
yeah, I would fight through it, but at the end of the day, it was like, yeah, okay, now I get what that is.
But then that's someone else's journey to learn the discernment or to understand, like, okay, I don't need to give this much information, or I don't need to do all this right now.
No, it will even be in talking to someone, period.
Yeah.
And so I've formulated responses, and I'm just honest. It's like, look, I'm freezing, which means I'm not the one you need to talk to on your path. And they'll get upset. And I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
I didn't lie to you. Would you rather I make something up? You know, it's like, yeah, I'm being honest. I'm being nice, but I'm being honest.
There's somebody else out there that's going to be able to give that information to them better, that they will actually be able to intake and progress on. Because sometimes with how a person gives an answer doesn't mean the person receiving that answer is going to actually be receptive of it and fully comprehend what's going on.
Yes.
And then sometimes it's just to keep me from getting a lawsuit.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like, I just summoned demons. Okay, you know what? I can't even do this one. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna take this to my witch. You know, I gotta go. You know, because if I say something, I'm gonna hurt your feelings. So yeah.
Yeah.
There was one lady, she legitimately came to me with a clearing case, and we tried everything to get that stuff out. And I'm like, okay, I know something's wrong.
Yep.
Something's wrong. You better level with me right now. And she had kids in the house and everything, bunch of roommates. And she finally told me, she's like, no, I'm keeping it around because it makes me feel special.
Mm-hmm.
I had a really, really, really hard time being nice. It was a good thing I had shock and incredulity going for me. Otherwise, yeah, no, that would have not ended well, the conversation. So hold on, Dennis. Counterspell is a third level reaction spell. In Magic the Gathering terms, it is a blue instant that counters spells. All right. And then Beth Coles. Hello, everyone. Hi, Beth.
Hello.
So good to see you again, babe. Glad you could be with us. Anyway, but no, gatekeeping. Now, gatekeeping in the entrepreneurship, though, I want to take you back to that because that is very much a practical, mundane world move. What was their reasoning for holding you out of it?
I think it was a fear of my success. So keep in mind, so when I started the business, the pandemic had just started. And that's when I decided, okay, I'm on this hamster wheel of social work, mental health work. Like I feel stuck and I could be doing a lot more. I just had, you just know. I don't know how else to explain it. You just know that you're meant to be doing something else. And I always knew that as a child. But anyhow, so when I started the business, I started to meet, different healers, as I mentioned, and they were very well experienced, lots of years, so many years. And I would just ask for guidance. And it was pretty much turned down. And I remember telling my husband, like, nobody wants to share anything. I don't know what to do. And he had to remind me, like, come back to you. Remember who you are, your roots, come back. And I had to really sit with myself. And that's like a whole, shedding, like death and rebirth in a sense, because you have to come back to you. And I don't know, I just kind of eventually realized that I can only advocate for myself. And I knew that I didn't want to be like the others that refuse or gatekept a lot of information. And did I answer your question?
Kind of, sort of, but we'll get back to it. I guess in my point of view, But this is always the way I've been. This is kind of my thing. I never really liked joining groups because there's always problems. There's cliquishness, there's politics, and that's not my thing. And so it's funny. Past life reader, Doc Cromwell, I love him to pieces. He was like, in all your past lives, you do this too. You're basically like, okay, here. So I've got these ideas. I think we can fix this. Da da da. No, we don't want to hear your ideas. Oh, okay. Well, then I'm going to take my ball and I'm going to go play by myself. Bye bye. See you. And apparently, in this lifetime, I was supposed to not do that, but I ended up doing it again. It's like he's like, "Are you ever going to learn this?" I'm like, "No. I don't want to stand there and just keep talking. I don't talk for my health. I'm gone. Bye bye. See you. Bye-bye." And creating, for me with the shop, it was about helping people that were just stepping into this area.
Yes.
I wasn't the be all end all, and I knew that, and I didn't care, but I got as much information, and I helped the John Q public who have had all these experiences and are terrified to talk about it or don't have a safe place or something like that. Because one of the things I saw was a lack of that safe space, that community space to do all this stuff. And especially there was a lack with teaching kids. And yes, I get it. There can be a lot of legal ramifications from that. But if you just put something out like a pamphlet or just speak about it, it's like, you know what, you can take this or you can leave it. You can do whatever. But I guarantee you, if your kids see something in the closet, take them serious.
Yes.
And
my son is 13. And so when I started this 6 years ago, as a business, he would share like, okay, I see this, I feel this. And I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and support you and teach you how to discern the energy or how to protect your space. And where I remember growing up, there's a lot that I've seen and telling my family, and they're like, oh no, you need to go to the church. You need to go to mass, like.
Well, and at first I was telling people to go to church until I realized the church wasn't doing anything.
No.
It's like, what? This is like one of the reasons for being there. So then I had to go and I had to find somebody. Luckily, somebody walked through my doors that was able to help. She had experience praying demons out of people. Okay, and she walked in and you would not have expected it out of her.
Yeah.
But she got to sitting down and talking with me and yaka, 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 yaka. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, what? And so that kind of started that whole journey. And man, she has been a little godsend. She's been amazing. But when I started getting all the cases, there's not a lot of help for this. And that's what shocked me off my ass. I was just like, there's so many people around. There's so many people that call themselves witches. There's so much of this. Why aren't you helping? But the biggest thing was, we don't see it. That person must have been a bad person, so we don't see it, and they're a bad person and they shouldn't talk about it. And I'm like, they're not a bad person. They just had a bad experience.
It's really interesting. Just, I don't know.
It's kind of like victim shaming.
Yes.
Because it's like, well, you were raped. It must obviously been your fault. What were you wearing? It's like, it doesn't matter. It's just, this is not, no, So, yeah, I've been lucky and I've run into a few people in the field that have a lot of ability that actually have the same attitude as I do and are breaking that up. And I actually did a show on it, Toxic Positivity, Toxic Spirituality.
Oh, wow.
Because it's like, not everything is rainbows and lollipops, dude.
It's not, yeah. Nature
is a balance. And, but I will also tell you that a lot of people that go to help are shunned in the metaphysical area. Something else I saw that really floored me. Have you had any experience with that? People and try and help and try and clear entities and speak about it. But
yeah. A lot.
They're like, you stay over there. You're like going to get something on us. And I'm like, you know what?
It's like, this isn't work. Again, so as a child, there is several priests and healers that would come to our house to like cleanse and remove. And especially when I was going through my teenage years, I wasn't really innocent because I was going through my own trauma, like sexual abuse, all these things. And so I think they tried to fix me.
I think they were going about it the wrong way.
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
And looking at it that way, right? Where if someone is actually, like, if you would say, I don't like saying possessed, but if they're just being consumed by a whole other energy that is not serving them, I know I have experience where I've been able to clear a person from that or cleanse them from that. Which is beautiful. I don't know how to. I just had a session a few Fridays ago, and I drove to Denver, and this is exactly what happened. You know, it was a whole cleansing, clearing, and a lot came up, but she was able to feel heard, validated, and she remembered like, oh my God, this is why I like these herbs, or this is why I like crystals. This is why I see auras. I'm like, yes, like it's okay. There's nothing wrong.
Wow, you're still dealing with a lot of that out there, huh?
Yeah.
God. Yeah. Crystals are pretty. Herbs work. And I just don't see how life could be any other way. Oh, well.
Well, that's the thing. Even if you go from it from a church's point of view,
Mm-hmm.
It was all made by that creator.
That's right.
It's there for a purpose.
That's true.
Yes.
You just have to figure out, like I've had discussions with people. It's like, hey, you can try this, see if it works for you. If you're open to it, it helps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even
if you're not open to it, it still helps. But hey, we won't tell you that. No, I love it. I don't believe in that. It believes in you. Don't worry. It has faith for both of you.
Yeah.
It might even wait until you finally go, okay, you're
God.
at your bottom breaking point of, okay, I'm finally open to it. Because sometimes it takes one of those just down, drop and fall. Like,
because of the fear.
Yeah.
So I think about
a lot of people that are deeply afraid of this or in denial. They had an experience that completely rocked their world.
Yes.
And they didn't have any place to go with it, so they had to suppress it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's opening up that safe space once again to say, hey, man, it's cool. We've all had rough stuff. You would not believe how many people walk into the shop and go, now this is going to sound crazy. You're going to think I'm crazy. I'm like, let me stop you right there. Where are you at? Okay, I have heard just about everything.
Mm-hmm.
All right, believe me, just keep going. And they're like, oh, and it just drops that, and they're able to actually talk about it.
Yes.
I'm not one of those we listen and we don't judge, because if I don't say it, my face will. But I can hold my disbelief and say, all right, let's look at this from a practical, improving perspective.
I agree. And I love that. For the longest, it took so long for my mom to accept what I do.
What?
And
why?
Yeah. Well, because she considered it witchy. And I'm like, Mom, but you taught me all this.
Yeah,
like you taught me everything. But in Spanish, it's considered curandera, which is different in their perspective, right? So, which is a whole other topic. But, if we think, okay, so I'm just going to get a little religious here. If we think about the Pope, right, and he passed and transitioned, what did they do to get a new one? They burned these names, and once they got the white smoke, that means that's the Pope. Is that not witchy or magic?
No, not at all. It's completely scientific, based in fact, baby. Right, Nicole?
That's like prayer. It's technically a form of spell work. Manifestation.
It is. And I'm like, Mom, you taught me like candle magic and all this. So finally she's starting to like get a little bit. It's so interesting. But that's where I had like the final aha, like, and I was telling my husband, oh my God, hold on, the Catholic Church does witchcraft. Like, let me show.
Yeah, they're one of the biggest fucking witchcraft things around. I mean, my God.
But they shame.
Oh, they burn it, man.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff they use, I've used in
Yes.
clearing practices. I'm like, oh, that's why they use it. It works. Okay, cool. You know, well, my dad raised me with Christian morals, but he was non-religional. And he's clairvoyant psychic medium. He was very out there. Okay.
Mhm.
So when I come at everything, I'm like, oh, cool. You know, myths, stories, fairy tales. Let's go. Let's just dive in.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh my God. And I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? By the way, Antoinette Brown says hello. Hey, baby. Good to see you on.
Hello.
Let's see here. Beth Coles. I got thrown against a wall. My church shunned me. Holy damn, Beth.
Yeah. The church is, yeah, that's a whole other topic. Talk about gatekeeping. I think the church is a big gatekeeper.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Of a
it's
lot,
the church.
you
It's
know.
been around forever. And one of the things I've always said, government, big pharma, church, everything else, once you get something that's so big, it becomes its own entity. What is an entity's number one priority? Ensuring its own survival.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it was originally created to help, it becomes about ensuring its own survival.
Yeah.
And it's really not, it's practical. There's nothing personal about it, you know? It is what it is. So take what you can from it and move on. It's like, God, wow. Did that sound mean?
No, it doesn't sound mean at all. It's real.
Antoinette Brown grew up Catholic. Yes, I know, baby. You have done some crazy shit with that too. I love it. One of these days you got to meet Antoinette. You guys are gonna have a blast talking. But no, it's just one of those things where absolutely, I absolutely expect that most bigger things are not going to be for my benefit or anybody else's.
Mm-hmm.
They have to ensure their survival first.
I agree.
But that also means that going into stuff, we have to protect ourselves. We have to take the personal accountability, do all our research. You know, I mean, well, I took my kid to the doctor once because I was worried he had a rash on his foot. One of the nurses threw a fit and said he had hand, foot, and mouth disease. So when she left the room, I looked it up real fast and I said, okay. Doctor came in. I'm like, if it was this, it would did. And they're like, oh, you're right. Well, she's new. But if I hadn't taken that accountability, if I hadn't stepped up to the plate and advocated, it would have been a miserable experience. Okay. So therefore, I don't like how much accountability you have to take with how much you pay them. But at the same time, if you don't take your own personal accountability, when you go to church, when you go to the doctors, when you go to insurance companies, you have to take so much personal accountability, responsibility. It's not even funny.
You know, my son has bad eczema, so he's always had that, and I've always helped him. But just a few days ago, he had really bad rashes on his elbows. He's like, Mom, can you create something, please? It's irritating me. So, of course, I create something. And then the next day, he's like, oh, my God, Mom, it's like pretty much gone. And so he's asking for it daily. And this is just home remedies that I've made, which is just oatmeal, calendula, and the love and the magic that you put behind it, an intention. And again, it's like I could have taken him to urgent care or to his doctor just to get a cream, you know?
And every one of those creams has side effects.
Yes. Don't get me started on this. This is a whole other topic.
A whole other one.
It's another topic. This is going to go like on 4 different sessions.
Hold on just one second. Beth Coles. But my mom's mother is Blackfoot Native American. I feel that's why I feel more spiritual than I do conform to religion. Okay. And that's valid. That's part of your journey, Beth. That's awesome. But no, I was really surprised with the entrepreneurship because it is our job to mentor the next ones. And
it is.
Well, and the other thing is to make sure they learn balance.
Yeah. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are healers that they don't want to share the information. And I think that's where I realized, like, wow, okay, this is no different from me working in mental health. You know, it's the same thing. People are going to gatekeep their wisdom or not guide you. And I literally had to do all of my research, everything by myself, and then also come back to my roots and remember. So it's, and that's why I run my business the way I do, is because I don't want to gatekeep. I don't want to keep people stuck. I feel that is fucked up. That's the only way I can say it.
But at the same time, I think you having to do all your own research, actually, it gives you a better edge, because Nicole and I do all our own stuff. Nicole, how much of our time is spent researching? It's a good thing we like it. It's a good thing we like it, okay? But when you have to do all your own research, when you are just, you're fact checking everything and doing all the stuff, that gives you an edge, because somebody walks up to you and says, well, no. Look right here. These are my sources. Wrote it down. Good luck with that. Oh, let me check my notes. That's one of the biggest things that I say. I don't know about you, but somebody will come up, and it's one of the 1,000 things I've learned that I've already forgotten. I'm like, let me check my notes, because I make notes on everything.
And that's how I am. Yeah.
And then also having the gatekeeping experiences and having everything like that, I think it's actually enriched your journey, because it's going to allow you to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to allow you to pop that like yucky, infected, nasty, sore bubble that is the gatekeeping metaphysical community, and go, hey, look here, let's put some bleach in that, But the other area, if you ever really want a fun trip, try working in the artwork community.
That's a whole other. I used to go to an art school in high school in Kansas City.
Really? Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
I've been doing it for years upon years upon years, professional, and oh my God, even somebody that claimed to be one of my closest friends, I was like, my God, where'd you go? Well, I guess we'll talk about that later. I'm like, oh, okay. So I was sharing my stuff with you, and you're going to be a dick. No problem. Just that wall of ice went down, and I was like, they're like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I guess we'll talk about it later.
So as an entrepreneur, have you gone through the gatekeeping from other leaders, I guess, that you would look up to?
They've tried. They've really tried, and I just walk away. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll just go do my own thing. I'll figure it out, and as much as this area, you always have imposter syndrome. You always doubt yourself. You always think you're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And I think it comes from my dad. Okay. Might come from my dad, might come from the fact that I'm a Taurus, might come from the fact that I'm the Chinese zodiac of the dog. Okay. But I'm always like, okay, I can sense your bullshit from a mile away. I can smell. I've got that radar, it's really fast. And I'm like, okay, you know what? If you're going to do that, you're obviously not somebody I want to be around.
Yeah.
So I got to go. So really, any gatekeeping doesn't even really register for me. It registers as manipulation. And with manipulation, I'm walking.
It frustrates me. And I'm a Sagittarius, so I'm very fiery. Mm-hmm. I'm like, how dare you? Because I already know what you're doing. I'm going to call you out. And I'm just like mad.
It's very insulting for me.
Yes.
And when I get insulted, I'm just like, you know what? This isn't worth my time. You're not worth my time. I got to go. And they're like, well, why don't you ever come back? Why don't you talk to that person? I'm like, they're really, I have learned a wonderful phrase though. Their energy and mine does not match.
I love it.
See, that's the nice though. And it's not like, yeah, they're dickholes. I can't say that. I mean, I could, but I shouldn't, So the new enlightened vernacular I use is, our energies don't coincide.
Mm-hmm.
And everything sounds nice, right?
Yep. It does.
And Nicole's watched it. See, Nicole, she is quiet. Okay, she's a May Taurus and I'm an April Taurus. And she's quiet. She'll just watch. And I've seen her do the same thing. She's like, okay, all right. You're trying to sell me. You're trying to snow me. You're trying to bye-ho. You know, but she would never say that. She's way too nice. She's just like, you know. And the worst part is when it's coming from somebody that's like trying to teach you a class or something.
Mm-hmm.
You lose out on so much money by doing it.
Yeah.
That's the other part. They lose out because the people that have been loyal to me, I treat them like gold. I love them, you know?
Yeah.
I expect a lot out of them because I expect a lot out of myself, but I love them, you know? The people that don't, the people that have that little twitch and you can see it coming up real fast, you know, it's like, no, I gotta go. Now, sometimes it is ego, and I completely understand, you know, I'm coming in, they've been at this for 30 years or more. Well, okay, they've been at this for a lot longer than me. And they're like, my God, you know, what are you doing? And I'm like, I completely get it. I understand, but you want to partner up? And they're just like, you know, that ego gets in the way.
Yes. Oh my God,
I get it. And some of them I've actually been able to manage to sit down and say, look, you know, have an honest conversation, kind but honest, and be able to say, look, I kind of see what's going on here. And I am not trying to take a part of your pie. I'm making my own pie. You got your pie, I got my pie. You like apple,
There's enough pies for everyone.
There's plenty of pie.
Let's help me. Let's share the information out there. Because the more questions asked, the more likely somebody will know the answer, or you guys will work together and find it.
Well, and also too, the more networking you do, the more people you're able to help.
Yes.
Okay. Because this stuff is scary when you're alone, Marie. It's terrifying. Mari.
Sorry.
I'm going to call you M.
Okay, there we go, M.
But it's terrifying when you're alone.
It is.
Alone and you're stuck in the dark is a horrifying experience.
It's lonely. It's scary. You question a lot.
Yeah. And so my biggest thing is I want to create connection and community and empowerment, enlightenment, and inspiration. But I want to make sure people don't feel alone.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, because feeling alone is, when you're doing this, it's horrible. And you come across some scary, scary stuff. Okay. And I mean, you got your guides and your angels and all that stuff, but man, sometimes it's nice to have a fellow human go, I got you.
It's okay. Yeah.
Plain English.
Yeah. You're not nuts. I promise you. And even if you are, we're both nuts together. So let's just ride this crazy train. Okay. But I mean, all the horror and all the terror and all the scary stuff, people should not have to be alone through that.
They shouldn't. And it's interesting you say that, because every time we do our vendor event here in Colorado Springs, when we did our first one, my husband and I, you could feel the tension. And
now, hold on, wait. Are you hosting it or are you vending at it?
I'm vending at it.
Okay.
Yeah. And so the first lady, she was like, is your booth 12 by 12? And my husband pulled out his tape measure. He's like, yes, it is. But she felt intimidated. And so I'm like, okay, let me sit on this for a little bit. There's something. And I would ask her, because I'm just a person that just communicates. I just talk. I have people talk to me. That's just how I am. And so I would try to talk to her at first, and she was just very close. I'm like, okay, obviously I know she doesn't want anything to do with me. She complained about our booth space. And
that's a big one.
Yeah, until my husband, pulled out his tape measure. He's like, no, this is like the space. And he told, the person in charge. Anyhow, my husband he's a Taurus, so he's like very...
May or April? Which one?
May.
Okay, he's the nicer one.
He is. He was very calm, and I'm just like, no, how dare she?
I am not.
Right. People, and that's something I've noticed. So moving 3 or maybe 4 years now that we've been doing this, twice a year, I've noticed like a lot of these vendors, they feel intimidated or they feel like they have to keep everything. And even to where, so what we love to do is we spotlight a lot of small businesses because that's what we do. And, you know, even to offer like, hey, do you do wholesale? We would love to offer your products. Or, hey, can we spotlight you on our website and our, you know, our groups or whatever, and have people reach out to you because you have beautiful gifts and all these things you create. And a lot of people felt intimidated by that.
Dude, okay. I kid you not. Now, keep in mind, my dad has been in business for himself forever. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't the metaphysical stuff. He was in just real mundane business. So I grew up knowing about it, and networking is a vital part of business. It's just practical, good common sense, which apparently a lot of the newer people in some of our spiritual stuff don't really understand.
They don't.
It seems to have disappeared from many fields.
I know, right? But no, when I started getting out there, I started trying to network with all the newer shops coming up. You're gonna love this, Sam. Let's see. One put a hex on my friend's car. She literally went up to her and said, "I come from a long line of powerful witches, and I just want you to know." And we're just like, okay, we just asked you if we could put stuff in your shop, and if you wanted to put stuff in our shop, and if you wanted to vend at our vendor monthly events that we host at our shop.
Yep.
Another one I offered for her, because she was heavy into herbs, I offered her to do like a spotlight talk about herbs, like for a week or whatever. We have gotten so much hatred. Okay.
And do you know how many times I try to ask all these small business? Go ahead, finish. Go ahead and finish. I gotta let my dog in. She's like,
go. But yeah, okay. See, it's not just us. You see that? You see that? It's not just us. Oh my God.
It does look like Beth was.
I know.
She must have came mid.
Beth Coles, what's gatekeeping? Beth, real quick, I'm going to read off what gatekeeping is. Again, it's the activity of trying to control who gets particular resources, power, or opportunities, and who does not. So kind of like info hoarding, or if you know something, you're not going to let anybody else know it because you want to keep that power to yourself.
Because it's your secret and you know it all. Nobody should know that. You know, that's the only way I could see it. Like,
you're precious. Think of Golem, his precious.
Yes,
okay?
exactly.
Precious, you know. Beth Coles, my husband is a May Taurus. Oh, he's a nice one. He's a sweetie. No, I was telling Nicole, I'm like, see, it's not just us. Other people have problems when they do this too. You know? And then when we started our psychic fairs, man, we had a lot of people rooting for us, but we had a lot of people just mad as hell. And I'm just like, we're not doing this for you to take it personal. We're doing this to expand our business and our opportunities and expand the patrons' opportunities to come and seek help. Why don't you just vend at it?
And that's another thing. Like, people want things. Okay, so you're doing your event, right? So you're offering the opportunity for someone like myself, the Sage Ranch, to go.
Oh, not you.
No.
Not teasing. I'm teasing.
Oh my God, stop. Okay, so I know I should pay for that. And sometimes people want it all for free. So then that brings a whole other conversation.
That I will not deal with, because that to me is very welfare mentality, poverty consciousness. And when you bring, here's the little trick. When you bring that into your space, when you allow that, it actually makes sure everybody else suffers energetically from
Yes.
So no, that has to go out the door. That's one of the things I learned. I tried to be like, oh my God, we can do this. We can work with you. No, you can't work with nobody.
No.
But it took me a long time to figure that out. And then
it's still a risk for the host. You don't know how many people are going to attend or if they're going to spend.
You would not believe how many vendors come to me and go, well, I'm a small business. I'm like, I am too.
Well, and you have to put the upfront costs.
Yep.
So I'm hosting, I'm getting ready, it's happening in October.
Okay.
Our first retreat, and there's a lot that I had to invest right then and there. And so people would ask, can I get it for free? No. I mean, I love you. I really do. And I really do love you. But no, there's also those boundaries. So that's a different from the gatekeeping. It's not gatekeeping.
That's a boundary.
My dog is chewing back here, so I am sorry if you guys hear her. She loves to do this.
Don't worry about it.
She's a Capricorn, so.
Yeah, that Capricorn's going to make its presence known. Hi, Capricorn. We love you. You're pretty. But no, it's just, you still have to have a boundary in this area.
Mm-hmm.
What did I tell one of my vendors? I can't pay my rent with dolphin kisses and fairy hugs.
Right.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
If I call my utility company right now and say, I can do a healing for you, you know what they're going to do? They're going to start laughing.
Yes.
They're going to laugh me right off the phone.
Yeah. So,
well, I do take barter. I take all kinds of things. I trade for shinies when I can. But certain things, no. I had somebody walk up to me and say, and they're paying their vendor fee at the last minute because I know them. But they're like, what do you mean I'm late? What makes it late? I'm like, you knew it for 8 months ahead of time and you're paying me at the end of the goddamn show. The only reason why I'm not charging you a late fee is because I love you. Get your ass out there.
Yeah.
Oh, so that means I'm late? I'm like,
it's like your taxes. Like, you have to be on time.
You talk to this person because if you don't, I'll go be mean. Yeah. And she's like, oh God almighty. I think I'm gonna be mean too. Like I was saying, I won't be able to solve it because they just totally ignore me. Well, no, one of my friends, my energy worker, I would have her talk to a lot of people because she's a Pisces and she's very good at not being mean. Okay, because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but there's that thing of, oh my God, you are so stupid. I cannot deal with this. You're making my brain cry. Okay. And that kind of thing. And I have a really good poker face. One of the things I told a vendor, because we were talking about it, because it's really difficult when you're talking to people. It was something a comic said. He was like, my dad gave me some really good advice. Whenever your partner screws up, never say the first thing that comes to mind because you're going to be divorced. Don't say the second thing either because you're going to be sleeping on the couch. Go with the third thing. And he gave an example. Him and his wife, they were driving along and they had the kids in the car and she had packed the cooler, right? And when they got to where they were going, she's like, oh, damn it. Something must be wrong with this cooler because everything's melted. And he's like, oh, let me see, baby. He's like, baby, there's no ice in this cooler. He's like, it doesn't need ice. That's not the way coolers work. And he's looking at her and he goes back, don't say the first thing. Don't say the second thing either. So I said the third thing. Damn, baby, that's a defective cooler. Okay. And so for me, it's like, don't say the first thing. Don't say the second thing. The third thing is not good. You better go with the seventh thing at this point. Okay. Yeah. So, it's one of those deals where I will go and get somebody else to talk to the person because I know the first thing's going to come out and it's going to be really mean and I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings. And I really don't want to do that.
That cooler may work without the ice, but it'll work heck of a lot better with the dang ice.
How much nicer
I love when she just tunes in randomly. It's like the perfect time.
Because I mean, seriously, and what would you have said to somebody that did not pack ice in a cooler?
Like, duh.
Yeah, it's like,
really?
Okay, you are not handling any more of the finances. Go away. No. Hold on just a second here, Beth. I sell crafts. I always get told that's too expensive. Everyone deserves to be paid accordingly. Okay, Beth, anybody who's telling you your stuff is too expensive, it's just being a broke hoe. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I've
to give examples of where all the money actually goes.
No, I'm actually writing an article about product cost, how to price stuff, because I get a question from vendors. And
Yeah.
a lot of people, do you want to know why their stuff is so cheap? I had
Why?
suspected this, but it scared the hell out of me when I found out. They're buying something for $10 and selling it for $10.50 or $11 and thinking they're making
No.
bank. Yeah, I know. Okay. You have to, at the bare minimum, 4 times your
Yes.
initial cost. So if you buy something for $1, you have to sell it for $4 because you have, if you're vending, you have space fee. If you're selling online, you still have a fee. You have packaging fee. You have cost. You have
Yes.
all this. You have advertising. Okay. You have
all the shipping to
oh,
and from.
Yeah.
we're not even going to go into the shipping. That's
I
getting
think
ridiculous.
it's just more emotional, like if you're creating. So I remember when I first started and I had a lady reach out. She's like, I want 200 bundles and I will pay you $1 a bundle. Keep in mind, I have to harvest the bundles. So I'm not just buying it online. I have to bend, I have to cut, I have to do the sacred ceremony, I have to wrap intentions. And a part of my ego was like, okay, that's $400. Let me go ahead and do it, And my husband's like,
Yeah,
wait.
that's the
And my
hard
husband's like,
part.
no,
You're
you
like,
don't do that. Like, don't give in. And I'm like, really? Why? Like, that's $400. He's like, no. Do you see the work you're putting into it? And it took so long for me to understand that because I think just being in this whole business, your intentions are good. And so you do want to help people. And then in a sense, we're like, okay, if our prices are lower, we're going to help more and whatnot, which is fine. But at the end of the day, you still have to make profit. First of all, at the end of the day, you still have to. I mean, there's Uncle Sam. That's a whole other topic. There's so many expenses behind the whole business part. So that's kind of where I realized, oh, okay. So yeah, don't lower your price just because someone says it's expensive. I've had people deny my cost and they're like, okay, I don't want that. I've had people pay a lot for an item that I didn't think was going to sell for that much. And so it's really interesting how people buy.
Beth Cole says, exactly. Thank you, Beth. But here's something I love to tell people, because when I originally started with my prices, when I originally started doing readings, it was so I could put food on the table for my kid. I don't actually enjoy doing readings. I'm good at them, but they just take a lot out of me.
Yeah.
But when I started to raise my prices because I had to, I didn't have a choice, I got some flack. And I told people, I'm like, okay, so you got this amazing, awesome tarot reading from this reader that your cousin's friends, girlfriends, boyfriends, chimpanzee knows. I'm so happy you had that experience. But here's my question. Are they still doing readings? Well, we don't know. Okay, so how exactly are they going to help anybody else? Well, we don't know. What if you wanted to go to them again? We didn't think of that. How do you ensure that somebody's going to be around for you to get guidance from again? You make sure it's worth their while and they don't have to go off and do something else. It's the same way with art. It's the same way with writing. It's the same way with anything. If you want something to succeed, support it. If you don't have the money, then you have to do word of mouth. You have to advertise for it. You have to recommend them, all that kind of stuff.
It's a trade.
Yeah.
Even when a friend gives you a reading, you should give them something in turn.
Yes.
We had a that I was trying to be a friend with, and she was like, "Oh, I wasn't going to charge you," and I'm like, "Look, I had the feeling I needed to pay you X amount, and that's what I'm going to give you because I know what went into this.
Yeah,
it helps that I know enough about tarot and have been in this." Been around her for quite a while. But I was into it even before meeting her, and I know what goes into a reading.
Yeah. But then you have people that take advantage. So I know one lady who pays or charges $500 for a $30 or 30-minute reading. You know how many people?
That is it. It depends on what it takes out of her. The physical problems she has afterwards, because I will tell you, readings are not for free on the reader. It depends. Okay. Now there are people that are like, you have a generational curse to everybody they read.
Yeah.
I can get it off of you for $5,000. Okay. Now that you're just like, okay. But those are your scammers, your cons, your frauds.
Which comes back to discernment.
Yes.
Yep. Trying to figure out who's legit.
Yeah.
Help and find that happy balance of what you give in turn.
Okay. And then there are these people that want the psychic to be certified. Do you have any idea how ridiculous that is?
Hold on. It took me a while to like.
Yeah, it took it a minute to click. There is a very famous psychic who was also proven to be rigging their results in their group readings that is now holding an online certification course for psychics. So, Nicole, we are going to be holding an online certification.
But everyone has the ability to be psychic.
Yes, I know. And that's something that nobody really, it's not clicking in the popular consciousness. Psychic abilities and gifts are kind of like a muscle. The more you use them, the more
I
you
agree. Yeah.
Okay. And the thing is, you're going to grow different gifts for what you need at the time. So when I had my son, I started to grow some healing gifts because I had to.
Mm-hmm.
I loved him enough that I had to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before I was like, nah, I ain't touching that. No, I'm good. No. But because I had to, it's kind of like that hermit crab thing. The shell's got to get too tight.
Oh, yes. That's a perfect way.
Before you move.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, and even Nicole, she's like, I know stuff that I don't want to know about plants. And I'm like, yeah, I know, that means you're evolving, good for you. And she's like, what? You know, because it can be really rough when somebody comes in. And the thing is, my stuff is always on. It's part of what helps me to sell. It's part of what helps me to help. It's always on. It never shuts off. My dad's the same way. My dad is an amazing salesman because he always knows what to say.
Yes.
Because he's reading you as you're walking in. Okay. Plus, he can talk to your spirits, your guides, your ancestors, whatever. Okay. So he's just on, but he's really comfortable with it. He's been doing this stuff since he was born. Me, it's always on because that's kind of how I had to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's getting a taste of it. Oh, thanks, babe.
Yeah, no luck on the ginger ale.
Darn it. Okay.
Check out the name.
Ooh. Nice. I do need to give her a call.
Yep.
Anyway, it's the Coke has my
Stepsister.
Yeah, it would be stepsister, her name on it. So she's pregnant currently, and I've got to do better at keeping in touch with her.
Oh.
I suck at keeping in touch with people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, moving any pointed objects away from Nicole. Anyway, but no, my stomach is feeling really bad. Otherwise, I wouldn't be drinking this. But oh God, this will generally eat through anything, and it's better than taking antacids and stuff.
Oh God, you make that Coke look so good. Like I haven't had a Coke in so long. I think.
Every time my stomach goes sour, burns right through it. Did you know that you can drop a nail in Coke and it will dissolve?
I did not. I'm going to try that right now. Science experiment. No.
I know, right? Don't put Mentos in there too now, otherwise that'll be a hell of a cleanup. But,
my husband's going to be like, where's my Coke?
But no, basically it's just, my mind wandered. All right, somebody else talk for a little while.
So back to gatekeeping. I don't know. What is your perception on it, or your view, or both of your guys's? Why do you think it happens? Why do you think it's happening, especially in the entrepreneur? Yeah.
The ones I don't get is when people are published and they leave out bits.
Oh, yeah.
And then it essentially creates really bad issues, whether it's, negative attachments, things like that. It's like, why did you leave that final piece of how to close whatever you were doing?
Mm-hmm.
that's the part I don't get. Why add more to the world? Unless it's just for chaos. But I mean, supposedly these people are putting the information out for good. But I feel part of it is just like dramatization. Because I remember there was a book that I was telling you about, and you're like, well, they flourished it a lot. And I'm like, yeah, but there were these random little bits. Just this tiny bit of information was great information.
Well, see, and I'm used to this with my dad, because he used to read the UFO books and everything. And what he would do is he would put stars on the different pages, and he would mark what was actual real information. And he would also be like, yeah, you got a stack of 20 books and you got maybe half a book worth of information out of this, and he was really good about that. But that kind of prepped me for what I would be doing with the metaphysical. Whenever anybody says, hey, what book can you recommend on the subject? I'm like, I can recommend you these 10. And they're like, I'm like, yeah, because you're going to learn a little something out of each one. No one book has it all in there. That's kind of why I started doing the writing.
I agree.
Because
each situation is different. So something might work better for one person over another on top of it.
Well, that is on top of it, but there are some basic stuff that you can do. So you got to teach somebody how to close their portals. Okay.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is important. Go ahead. Talk about this. Because I just had a conversation yesterday about this.
Well, and I've done articles and stuff on it, but I'm going to be putting it in the magazine and putting it into books because it just has to be out there.
Yeah.
But when you're warding your house does no good if you have spirit portals all through it.
Yep.
You got to close that train station.
Or if you bring in antiques all the time.
Oh yeah, no, and that's another thing. There was a video, and the lady was trying really hard. Okay, she was trying really hard to show everybody how to close your antiques, and she started with an antique mirror. Okay, so she did everything. She did this. But here's the thing. It was sitting on her couch while she was doing all this. Now, what was wrong with that video? She already walked it past her wards. Yes. She had to do all this shit before she walked it past the wards.
Yeah.
She had to clean it. She had to seal it and everything. I don't buy anything used, period, simply because my dad was real finicky about it. The only thing he would buy are books or tools. And what he would do Okay. Instead of sage, he would blow his cigarette smoke into the bag that it held in, tie it up, leave it for like a week. It would kill any bugs, but it also killed anything metaphysical. It just died in there.
Yes.
Take it and he would use it or whatever. But a lot of people don't understand what they're bringing in. They're like, oh my God, I don't know why I'm having all this. You can have spirits. You can have emotional residue. You can have energetic residue. You can have all kinds of things when you're bringing in something uncleaned into your space.
Yes, or even
Horcrux thing is
true. God. Oh God. Yes, you can actually be bringing a piece of a person. There was a lady. She was a teacher, and a teacher in the metaphysical field, and she knew a lot about this, but she didn't think it could happen, and I don't blame her. This is weird, but she got an antique ring from one of her grandmas, and she wanted to try automatic writing. So she went ahead, she was wearing the ring, and she tried automatic writing. Bam! That spirit came out and just latched right onto her ass. And she didn't realize it because it was so subtle. It took her a long time to get past it, to get moved through it. And keep in mind, she would be what you would consider an elder in this area. She told me about it, and she's like, no, I learned my lesson the hard way.
But also, what do you think about, like, okay, so I always have to set strong boundaries with my channel.
I don't channel.
So, well, what I'm saying is, like, I will only allow certain times for me to receive or to see. You get what I'm saying? Instead of leaving it open.
Yeah, difference in vernacular. Okay, yeah, I had to learn that the hard way. And basically, because all of the spirits, everything wants to come knocking.
Yeah.
Be like, hey! And I'm like, I'll get away from me. And they come to my son, too. And, as a mom, that just freaks you out. And you just, there's a meltdown happening. So what I learned how to do was I kind of envisioned it like a doctor's office. You know that front of a doctor's office? But metaphysically in my mind, and I put closed, closed.
Yes.
You know those sides
So
closed.
you do that, because I've had several people say, like, well, if you're gifted, why would you close it like office hours? I'm like, no, it's strong boundaries.
No.
Because
You're not going to
sometimes-
allow yourself. It's kind of, so when I do some energy work, I will call the direction. So if I call in the air,
Mhm.
I will tell the air, okay, bye, you have to leave,
Yeah.
or else everything's going to be all fucking crazy in my world.
It's like you have to
Right?
put it back and let it go back to where it belongs and close those doors. Closing the circle, closing things off when you do a reading, even a tarot reading. It doesn't matter,
Yes.
you have to close it. And one of the things that
final step that's left out.
there are a lot of final steps that get left out and things that don't even get talked about.
So is
Like-
that gatekeeping?
I don't know if it's gatekeeping or they have no clue what the fuck they're doing.
I kind of feel, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm,
I
yes.
don't know which it is.
Yes.
Okay? Because I'm reading these articles, I'm reading these books, and I'm like, okay, well, this is garbage, this is garbage, this is garbage, because if you're not going, that's why you'll watch me ask people in this area certain questions. And I'll sit back and I'll watch them, I test them. I'm like, all right, let's see if you know what you're doing. Da-de-da-de-da. Okay, you don't. Bye.
Yeah. Always.
It is so dangerous. This area is
Danger. It is.
Well, let alone what is moral and what's not.
Yeah.
You know, some people are like, oh, yes, a free spell. That's fine. You're messing with somebody else's wheel.
I love her.
Mirror magic, freezer spells, love spells are technically black magic, baby, because they're overriding somebody's will. I don't like to mess with spell work, period, because it throws things out of alignment. For me, I'd rather ask the universe and say, look, can you help this to happen? You know a lot more than I do. You know all the stuff behind the scenes.
Exactly.
This is what to happen. Help me out, you know, rather than doing a spell. But I also understand if you need rent, I get it. You're going to need to do that spell and get
But you
that
could
work.
also create like a manifestation altar or an altar to.
I don't care. Sometimes if you need rent and you're about to be homeless, you need rent. I get it. I'm practical enough to get that. But at the same time, you also have to realize you're either borrowing or you're turning that wheel.
Exactly. It's like La Santa Muerte.
Oh, yeah. Her.
That's the perfect example.
Oh, yeah. So I'm guessing you work with her?
No, I've known a lot of family members that were not doing okay. They were doing things. Pretty much, okay, let's say, I'm just gonna say it. They were selling a lot of drugs. And so this is something common that they do, is they work with the Santa Muerte because it's so mind blowing. Sorry, I'm trying to work on not cussing. So, but basically you're saying like, okay, I want this and I will give you that. And you have to fulfill that offer, whatever you offer. It doesn't matter. And I have seen it play out. And it's just like, oh my God. But I personally do not work with Santa Muerte because of the experiences that I have seen and seeing the results, even though they did receive their wishes and their wishes were granted, I saw the result at the end of the outcome.
Interestingly enough, see, when I started down this journey, I had to actually open my mind up to working with deities and other entities. There's still some I refuse. The door is always closed for me. But they'll come a knocking.
Mm-hmm.
different ones, and you have to make sure it's the actual deity
That's
or
what's
entity.
tricky.
Yes.
And don't expect them to not want something in turn. They're not just gonna give you one.
Exactly.
Well, that's just ridiculous. This whole they give freebies thing is just ridiculous. It's a monetary system, it's a barter system, whatever you want to call it, but you're always trading something. And one of them made sure to teach me a lesson because I asked for help for her. And I said, yeah, anything. And the deity's like, anything? Are you sure, Alicia? Anything. Help her, please. Yeah. I got to talk about that one real fast. So no, always make sure to outline.
Yes.
Follow through. I'm kind of shitty at the follow through. So yes, having a little trouble with that right now, but you always have to give something, and it doesn't have to be major. Ask them what they want, sometimes they'll want a case of beer. Sometimes they'll want a flower. Sometimes they want you to go sprinkle herbs in a certain meadow, and you have no clue why, but whatever, cool. So Santa Muerte started coming to me, and I'm like, no. Because for me, I don't like the fact that people will sacrifice kids to her, and she does take it and all that. I'm very, that's my boundary. No kids. Never kids. Kids are, that, and I don't mess with drugs. But
it's really, yeah.
But she kept coming to me, and I finally did all my research, and I realized, yes, that's one part of her, but there's a lot of other parts too. And with the particular protection work that I was trying to do, she actually helped out quite a bit. So there's more than one side to her.
There is.
And with all the deities.
Yeah, I know. And I don't ever really, yes, I'll ask for stuff for me, but it's like, hey, can I have help with protection? Hey, can I have this? Hey, and she's fine with that. She's not interested in going any further down any roads. And we're good. Right now, I'm in hock to her. I got to get her a dozen red roses for the last help she gave me. But it's like that. A dozen red roses. It's
beautiful.
I just got to get the money to get them for her. And she has told me, I ain't helping you no more until I get those. And I'm like, I know, I'm so sorry. It's like, but it's one of those things where I was very dubious to work with her because of her past history. But I had to open my mind a little bit to all her other aspects. Now, there are certain ones like Lilith I absolutely will not work with because she is a baby killer. And that for me, no, I don't care what you could give me. No, I want nothing to do with you. There was another deity that I asked for help in protecting my son from a hex that was being worked on him. The deity asked for part of my kid's power. Immediately, I said, no. I shut the door. I've never gone back. And that's one of the nicer deities. So, yeah. Deity work is very interesting.
It is.
But people have to remember it's not without a price.
Exactly. And again, we come back to discernment and understanding.
Common sense is what I would call it. It's an exchange. Okay? It's an exchange. Okay? And on that thing of, if you're gifted, why wouldn't you always leave yourself open? Well, since you have food in your house, you'd always leave your doors open so I could come in at 2:00 and raid your fridge, right?
Exactly. See? Okay, so now I see how I can share that, because I have people ask me this all the time. Like, why wouldn't you leave your channel open or leave it open, your gifts? And I'm like, no.
If you don't receive sleep, you're not going to be able to discern your gifts are telling you.
Yeah, no. Why wouldn't you leave your front door open so I could always come in and raid your fridge?
Yeah.
Or, take some money to pay my bills, or come and talk to you at 2 a.m.
Right? Well, and I remember as a kid growing up and seeing like my great grandpa passing, and just literally seeing his body, his spirit leave, because I didn't know my gifts. I didn't know what I was doing. And so I just allowed it to open, and it was just constantly open, which explains a lot of why I did a lot growing up. the way I reacted to the environment around me, but it's because I left the door open. And you can't do that.
You've got to close it. It always has to
Yes,
be closed.
I agree.
It was nice to have tea with you. Okay, goodbye. I need to go
Yeah.
sleep. But one thing I do, like a doctor's office, I do the close sign. Right now, until I can get past some of the physical issues, I'm like closed permanently, closed for repair. And they're not very happy with that, but it's like, so in case of emergency, go to, and I list off the names of the people that I know are mediums. I am not technically a medium. I work with spirit guides, but I don't really like to go any further. I will if it's an extreme case, but it's not my thing. So I send them to my dad. I'm like, go talk to him, or go talk to my energy worker, or go talk to this person, because I know this person, they'll help you. And they're really cool with it. But I always put, in case of emergency, go to these names, right?
Yes.
And then they're like, oh, okay. And then they go.
Yeah. And that's all they need,
Oh, some of them are just dicks.
Well, that too.
Okay. I mean,
well, some of them won't go because they already know what answer they're going to get.
It's like, I'm not here and I'm not listening and la, 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 la,
Yes.
Go away, I remember there for a while, my son had night terrors really, really bad. He still gets them once in a while, but the only thing you can really do with night terrors is go sleep. That's it. That's all you got, which I'm fine with. But I remember I would have to pull my shields around him so they would stop.
Yes.
Because this poor kid, I mean, he's already going through the clubfoot treatment. He's already going through all this. He's already got the night terrors. And they're coming at him. And I'm like, no, he is a child. He's already got enough problems. And they don't care. They are incredibly selfish.
Oh, they are. Yesterday, so I don't know if I told you guys. So my mother-in-law, who's pretty much dying from cancer. So I've already received a lot of messages, but last night, I'm staying in the living room, and usually the way that it communicates through light, and it'll start flickering. And so yesterday that was happening, and I'm like, oh, I didn't close. I didn't set the boundary. Nope. It is not the time right now. Bye. And so they didn't like that.
Well, I mean, hey, there for a while, I had to put a sign underneath the closed because it was getting so hot and heavy.
Yes.
I lived on a crossroads. I didn't realize I lived on a crossroads because this is man-made, so I didn't think it counted. Well, it counts. But I had to put under the closed sign, office hours, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. So like 1 hour a day they can come visit me.
So you should have, yes. And so as I was telling my friend, I'm like, he's like, no, you shouldn't have like office hours as a spirit world. And I'm like, no, you should have those strong boundaries. Like you have to.
No, as long as he doesn't have kids, look him in the eye and say, you don't want strong boundaries? Okay. I'm going to send every one of them to you. Enjoy. Have fun. And when you are dead dog tired, can't hold your job, are throwing up and pooping yourself because you're so sick, you call me and you tell me why those boundaries are in place. Beth Coles, I like this. Unlike Motel 8, they leave the light on, but you're like, no vacancy.
Yeah.
Something like that. Something like that. Yes. Except instead of vacancy, the thing is completely closed, saying, don't even call me. Right now, my sign says closed for repair.
Yes.
Because when I had to move my physical location, I think I told you this, yeah?
No.
Okay.
Hold on. You're not at the same location, the building,
No. In July of last year, it got hit by a tornado.
Oh, wow.
Damage. So the owners were like, okay, we're going to sell it. Can you be out in 10 days? I was like, not unless you want multiple ER trips for me and you're going to be paying for them.
And I've been here 7 years. I think it's a little hard to move that quick.
I'm a tourist.
My God.
You're married to a tourist. How much does he collect?
My husband?
Yeah.
He like his income?
No, stuff. His stuff.
Actually, not very much. He's pretty.
Guys, okay. As a woman, how much stuff do you collect?
Oh, I collect a lot.
Okay. Now, imagine if you were really, really thingy and absolutely loved your things.
And thought, oh, at some point I'll use this.
Yeah, that. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, imagine 7 years of that and then moved over to a much bigger building with 2 floors and a basement. And then another 7 years. How much stuff would you have? Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Now imagine trying to move that in 10 days.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right. There we
All
go.
that. Oh, this will work great for an art project down the road, let alone all the store products.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, a few months later, a few months later, we finally moved out. I was originally just going to mothball the shop, and then Merle Hay Mall came to me. They're like, "Hey, we hear you're looking for a place to go." I'm like, "That's really cool, but how did you hear that?" Because I didn't tell anybody. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I want to sit down and talk with you. And I talked to the guy face to face, and he was absolutely awesome. Okay.
Aww.
Very grounded, loved it, And so I went ahead and signed a 6-month lease because I was like, it's still a mall. I want to make sure, I just want to make sure.
So cool.
So cool. So I held my first big psychic fair because I don't know if you knew about this, but I was holding twice a year bigger psychic fairs at fairgrounds.
Yeah.
Right?
I
Okay.
think we just moved when you told us that.
Okay. Well, at the January of last year, so 2024, last year was 2024, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 2024 January, Dennis got into a really bad car accident. Somebody ran a red light, raced through it, and hit him. Yeah. I was just really glad they didn't hit a family because it would have messed somebody up. They could have possibly killed someone. So I was very thankful that they hit Dennis because he's a very experienced driver. He's driven trucks. He's driven everything. Okay.
Mhm.
But it still was bad enough for him to go back and forth to the hospital.
Yeah.
So we had to pause our March fair, which of course, him being in the hospital meant some of our vendors have decided we're horrible people. We're just, we're complete dicks. It was so inconvenient for them that he was in the hospital,
People are so interesting. Again, the entrepreneurship. So
that's so spiritual, right? That's spiritual. Keep in mind, these are metaphysical fairs we're holding.
Yeah. It's
so They're like, well, then you know what? I'm like, okay, we don't have any money. It all went to the venue and advertising. I'm out $4,000 that I'm never going to see.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, what you did was horribly inconvenient for us, and you're a horrible person. So yeah. Dennis is really excited about the community now, he's loving it, right? It actually put him back to when he was in junior high and stuff because he got bullied a lot. And that's pretty much what it felt like.
It's so interesting. So going back to like the gatekeeping. So as I mentioned, I have done several rounds going around Colorado Springs and several metaphysical shops like, hey, trying to connect. And they're like, oh, no, we can't. No, we can't partner. We can't partner. Gatekeeping.
Okay. You do. That's not gatekeeping. That's stupidity.
Oh, okay. Well, to me, it's gate. Okay.
No, it's not gatekeeping because what they're doing is they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any business has to network to survive. Period. That's the way to go. And if you're not networking, if you're not growing, okay, there's only going up or going down slowly.
Exactly.
That's all you got.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the ones around here. Guess how many of the ones that I went to have survived these waves of closing? Only 1 or 2.
I'm curious, and I'm not going to share the names, but there was several that I went to in Des Moines.
Okay.
So I'm curious if they're still around, but yeah.
Well, I'll message you the names of some that could have closed.
Yeah, we're not going to go through that right now. Yeah.
But anyway, no. So no, I did it here.
So why do they do this though? Why do you think?
Consciousness. Everything for me. Only for me. Just for me. There's not enough for anybody else. Just for me. You could have 100 metaphysical shops and they still have this attitude of just for me. Only for me. And it's like, okay, Antoinette and I went over this once. There are how many hundreds of thousands of people just in the Des Moines area, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you take your bills, you take your rent, you take everything, you take the profit you need to keep your family alive, okay?
Exactly.
This is counting if you're not on disability or something else, you know. But if you just want to run this as a business, pay your bills, make a profit, and be able to restock, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you cross-section the number of people by the number of shops. You find out how much you need to do in sales to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Figure out how many people, how many regular customers you would need. For me, it wasn't that many. There was plenty for everybody, and I knew this.
There is, yeah.
In Colorado, I mean, Jesus, there's even more people.
Yeah, and it surprises people because ours is all online. We don't have a brick and mortar because, I mean, we're not ready for that yet right now.
Okay, so my question is, how the hell do you make it online? Because I've been trying to do online, and it just don't work for me.
It took the pandemic, so it started with just Sage bundles, and then I did subscription boxes, and then it just grew and grew and grew into what it is now. So it's worked out the way it has been, and being able to like create this thing.
And that is fucking awesome. I am glad. That's awesome. But I will tell you,
I want a brick and mortar, but we're not there.
It's a lot of work. And
I know. My husband says that. He's like, no.
You gotta staff it. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
But I got lucky. But I will tell you, I do like having a brick and mortar better. But that's just who I am. It's just who I am. You know, it's the way I was raised. I like it. But at the same time, it is a lot of commitment. Anyways.
And I try to do like the pop-ups, and again, like people are just like, no. Because again, the intimidation, I guess.
Poverty consciousness. Just under poverty consciousness.
And it's like, okay.
Though is not everybody knows everything. What same way with like, what if you're sold out of something, but you know another store has it, and that person desperately needs whatever it is.
And that was one of the things I loved about the older shops here in Des Moines. One of them, Morning Light, I would be able to call her and be like, hey, I got a customer over here, needs this, this, and this. You got it? And she's like, yeah. And then she would call me, hey, I'm out of Rider Waits. You got it? Yeah. And we would be able to do that. And that's what I was trying to create with the newer shops.
That's beautiful.
Forget it. Never mind. Just give up. I'm still going to keep doing it, and I'm still going to keep offering my hand. Okay.
A lot of our customers are in Des Moines, so I'll have to shoot them your way.
Thank you. It's too bad you can't come out for the October fair. I think you'd like it.
So September we'll be in Denver for the gym show. So that's usually where we do like private shopping. I
am so envious.
So that's usually where we do like our private shopping for clients and customers, and then for our shop as well. But I do have a client that carries our private label stuff. Okay. Like we had to build his whole shop in Wichita. So I plan to go there as soon as he opens, which should be within the next few months.
That's cool. That's awesome.
It's exciting. Yeah.
But background. Anyway, real quick to finish off the story about the bigger fairs, we had to pause for a while, and then we went back, and I was like, I don't want to leave it like this. So I actually did the bigger fair in the mall. Oh my God, Em, it was amazing.
Aww.
The energy was so much better than the fairgrounds. It was just, you know, the fairgrounds at some point, they always had a bad surprise for me.
Yeah.
The mall always had a good one.
Mm-hmm.
You were even trying to get one there in December.
Well, but at the same time, I'm glad. Everything had to fall apart to fall into place.
Yes.
And now and now the spooky season fair, it's going to be in the mall. And they're going to decorate all kinds of stuff. I've already got Sheena's going to be doing her aerial hoop there. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun.
They're going to do your Dia de los Muertos.
Well, keep in mind, it's October 31st, November 1st, and 2nd. So it's the Season of Souls Fair. So it's going to encompass both Halloween and Day of the Dead.
Oh, I love that.
You know, that's why I said it's too bad you can't come, because honestly, I think you'd like it. But the energy is just so much better. It's better.
Mm.
Are happy, and it's just awesome. So hold on, wait a minute. Beth Coles, would love to purchase your book, Alicia, from my library. Yes, ma'am. I'm working on putting it into print. I promise you it will be soon, but tech is not being very cooperative at the moment. It's only in an ebook. And I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Formatting.
No, formatting is bullshit. And
Uh.
also,
I know.
running it through the different programs is just,
I know.
oh my God.
It's, yeah.
But you know
it's
what?
a lot.
It's worthwhile. I am loving it. Oh, also, Beth, if you have any authors that want to do fiction, I've got an anthology coming up called the Mary Shelley Society.
Oh,
It's fictional stories. Do you ever write fiction, Em?
I have a friend that does, or a customer. She does vampire stories.
Oh, hold on. Okay. So
I'll have to share that. Yeah, she would love it.
No, since you said that, hang on. I will send you the link to this, but also,
Okay.
hold on.
And I'll introduce you to her. Like, yeah, she's.
That would be so cool.
I love reading them. I'm like, oh, cool. But yeah.
I'm always looking for, let me screen share. I'm always looking for more authors.
Mm.
Oh,
And let me write this down so I don't forget, because I will.
here. Okay. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Right now it says book club, but I'm changing it to society because book club, people think young adult novel. Well, and it's really not. Hold on. Let me read to you what it's about. So this is the blurb. It was a dark and stormy night, the third Thursday of the month, and so it's time for another meeting of the Mary Shelley Society, a group of friends who have been meeting in the old Lanchette Mansion every third Thursday of the month for more than a decade and a half to discuss their favorite horror literature and media. It is their safe haven until tonight. Unbeknownst to our horror aficionados, tonight is the night that the cursed objects and trapped entities that the Lanchette family have gathered over the centuries can be released from their bonds, and the creatures of chaos have until dawn to find permanent freedom to wreak havoc in our world. Can this group of horror connoisseurs use their knowledge to set things right and protect the world, or will they be subsumed when they come face to face with the reality of just how dangerous true horror can be?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've already got a couple of authors working on it. Yeah, and I wrote the wraparound, and we're doing good. Hold on just a second here. Beth Coles, I'm excited for you. Thank you, Beth. Beth Coles, I'm a librarian. I get it. Thank you very much. And I know people and have stories. Hell yes. All right, cool. And, I read this. So cool. Thank you, Beth. Anyways, but no, I love working with fiction, but I will tell you a lot of what I've already experienced bleeds over into the fiction.
Exactly.
Well, and the nice thing is I can write into the fiction some real stuff about closing wards, about dealing with entities, and things like that. I've also got another anthology that I'm cooking up called Bad Dreams. It's specifically about entities that come after people when they're sleeping. Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be good.
Yes. So, and yes, I do have lighter anthologies like science fiction and fantasy and stuff like that. But these are the two that kind of popped out first.
That is going to be good. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just.
I'm just already like, okay.
Yeah. So, hey, if you want to write any fiction, I would love to have you in. Now, it's not going to be a paid position, obviously, because I'm just starting out.
Obviously.
But you will get an ad in the magazines.
I don't expect anything, like just to share, what I have to offer for everybody else and the collective, and that's it. I have no attachments to it. I mean, besides what I provide and do, but as far as like expecting something in return, I don't. Does that make sense?
But you're
Did I
gonna get a
describe
little
that correctly?
bit. You're gonna get a little bit in return no matter what. I always make sure
Yeah.
there's but no, the Alicia's Desk magazine is a sci-fi fantasy horror one. It's quarterly for right now until I
Oh
can
my
go back monthly.
God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Did you ever read like Science Fiction Age or Realms of Fantasy?
No.
Okay. They were the big full color magazines that had the full color artwork and the stories.
Oh, I have. Okay, so yes.
Yeah. And that's what it's designed to be like.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
One second.
Okay.
Here. All right. I'm going to screen share this. Our first issue of Alicia's Desk is out, and I'm working on the second issue right now. Okay, hold on.
It's being weird.
There. That one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The New Age magazine is having all kinds of bumps and wham and just dings and bangs on it, but that's okay because it's just going to make it even more interesting.
This is cool.
Thank you.
You still need one that says "Don't forget the soul."
Yes, I know. I'm working on that, both poem as well as story. Hold on just a second. Beth, will work for Sage and Pickles. Okay, Beth, we got to talk about this.
I got the sage. I don't have the pickles. So. No.
I will buy her pickles. Anyway, but no. So with Celestial Imprint Publishing, I'm going to be publishing both sci-fi, fantasy, horror, supernatural, as well as the metaphysical. I want them both because they're both huge parts of my life.
I love that. That is so true. Yes.
You know, and plus there's a lot of crossover.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of crossover. Beth Cole, so proud of you. Thank you, Beth. I love you. Mwah. You're so cool.
Aww.
But no, and so yeah, if you know of anybody who does fiction or anybody else who does metaphysical writing, I'm working it all in together.
Yeah. Do you just want me to connect you with her? Yeah.
Talk to her a little bit first.
Okay.
Talk to her a little bit first, chit chat with her. Once I get to feeling better, I'm going to be doing the Alicia's Desk vodcast, and that's where I interview different creatives, and I also actually read the stories that I'm writing and have other authors come on and read their stories.
Okay.
I started it because I had so many people with vision problems in my life. I didn't want them to not be able to enjoy what I was doing. So, I thought it would be really neat.
That's beautiful. I'm just thinking, I'm just like going out here.
Eventually, the other thing I want to do is I want to put together some non-fictional anthologies about different people's metaphysical experiences and knowledge and stuff like that. It's probably going to start off with ghost stories because let's be honest, that's going to be where that's kind of the start.
I love ghost stories.
See, I grew up with a psychic medium as a dad. He was always talking to spirits, and I can do it. I'm just like,
They're so fun.
Oh, see, I
love it. I love it. Once I was able to, again, set those boundaries of what I'm going to allow, because again, I used to work at a cemetery, which we'll talk about later.
That's one of the things I want you to write an article on.
Yeah. And it was really, it was the best job I ever had, actually.
Really?
It was fun. And, oh God, there's so much that I could share, but we'll save that.
No worries. Okay. So go back to your business and what you actually do, because we went off on something.
Oh, I know, we did. Because we were talking about gatekeeping, and then all of a sudden we spiral. We harvest our own blue sage from our land here in Colorado. I provide different healing tools. I create a lot of oils. Our famous Florida water, which is very sacred to me, that was created through my ancestors, especially my gatekeeper, which is my abuela, my grandma, who was a shaman, or curandera is what you would say in Spanish. create all these beautiful magical tools to help people to really embody where they're at right now and to support them. It's not just a crystal, it's not just an oil, it's not just a bundle, it's more than that. Everything that I create or we create, I would say we because obviously spirit and myself, it's all done in sacred ceremony. So there's always a drumming circle that I do. There's always an herbal bath that I do with everything. It's just I love it. I don't know what else to say. There's a lot more that I do. There's yep. I could keep going, but we're not gonna do that.
Oh, that's fine. Okay. I also want to mention one other thing because it skipped through my mind and then dropped out, but I do want to mention one thing. Are you familiar with, it's kind of a level of empath, but if you're a projecting empath or psychic, you can do this with anybody. People can actually project their own feelings about somebody onto someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes when people are doing poverty consciousness or envy or anything else, it's not really them. They just don't know enough to separate their own feelings from what they're receiving. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Okay. And that's one of the things I would say to think about when you're running into some of these blocks with people. The reason why I mention that, when I have multiple guests, or even if I have a viewer that's pretty strong, I'll start to pick up what they're feeling. And that's when you'll see me start to play with this because it clears it all out. Kasumi and I, my psychic vampire that I work with, she's one of the most conscientious people you'll ever find. She's actually really, really neat in that way. So as a psychic vampire, she's still conscientious, you know, she's big on consent, all that stuff. But she and I will talk after the show because she's really sensitive to it. She's sensitive to what's going on with the audience, and she's sensitive to the other people, and we'll be like, hey, and she's like, hey, and I'm like, hey, we'll compare notes. It's always really interesting to see what's actually not our own and where it's coming from. So that's one thing I might also say. I don't know what would help the person per se outside of an energy flush, but sometimes people can get overridden by other energetic influences, I would say.
Oh, I agree.
And they can be looking straight at you and they won't even see you.
Yep.
They just see whatever's been constructed. I mean, they're like glamour spells, swap spells and stuff, but it's like, you're like, I'm here. Look at me. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. And they're like, I see you. Okay, you're looking 2 feet above my head, but sure, let's go with it.
Yes.
That is the other thing I will mention. Even if somebody is open to it, they can be influenced if they don't know, if they're not aware.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I agree.
Hold on. Beth Coles. Have you experienced that yourself? And if so, how do you move past it? How do you make sure it doesn't affect you or color your vision?
Have I experienced?
I'm just going to say energetic override.
Oh, yeah. Again, so the way that Mari works, the way I work, in my team, it's really, I can tell when there's energies that want to come through that are not for the highest good. And so it comes back to knowing not only the discernment, but to knowing who you are at the core and understanding your magic. We all have our own magic, our own gifts. And once we're able to understand that, then we can oh my God, my candle just popped.
Okay.
Then we could dismiss them like, okay, I see you, but this is not your space. So
I like that. Okay, that's actually very.
Does that make sense? Am I making sense? I'm really just like
that's a very gentle way of doing it. I see you, but this is not your space.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you don't have to be rude and be like, I think people get so caught up in like, oh no, I don't know what this energy is. And then they get into that freeze fight response, right? And instead it's like, okay, I see you. Hold on. We're not supposed to be working together. Please go. This is not your space. And setting that sacred space. Everything that I do every morning, every day, every night is creating that sacred shield, that circle. I'm getting chills right now. Around myself, my business, my family, and the house. So I know what is and what isn't supposed to be here.
Okay.
If you know what's yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
And
Your space, your time.
yeah.
Right.
You just
It's kind of like having the office hours.
yeah.
Put your hand.
Okay. Bye, Felicia.
Like, no. Wait a minute.
But I like that. I see you. This is not your space.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Because they don't like to be ignored either, because then they get upset and then
And cause more problems.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and especially when I was working the cemetery, so I also experienced that. So I had to, and that's going to be a whole other conversation.
Yeah,
But
we'll chat about that as it gets
Yeah.
more towards spooky season. Okay. I want, because I'm working on an article about Ouija board disposal, stuff like that, because during spooky season, all this stuff becomes really, really popular, but it's all the over dramatized bad stuff that
yeah.
there isn't a lot about how to deal with the consequences of that.
Yeah. And also honoring like your past loved ones. I think that's something that a lot of people don't like to do because it's uncomfortable to remember their loved ones that are gone.
See, I don't, maybe you're right. Maybe that's why I get some of the flack. Because I'm big on Day of the Dead, Deathless Muertos. I was not until I had my son.
Mm-hmm.
But once I realized he needs that.
Yeah.
And he loves it. He is all about it, but, and also, I mean, he can see stuff. He's got a lot of good gifts. But after that, I really got into it and I really started, being more part of that. And I would get a lot of flack because nobody really realized I was half Hispanic.
Well, and a lot of people are just not comfortable with it. They're like, no, we're not going to honor the dead. And it's like,
yeah, I think it's the way people go about it.
Yeah.
Because once I explain it a little bit, people are like, oh my God. Because for me, when you die, you just move into a different room. They're still there. You just have a little more trouble seeing them.
Kind of like the doctor's office. Now you're in the other.
You're in the waiting room.
Not the waiting room, right?
You're in the waiting room. But no, I mean, for any passed on loved ones, like my grandma, I met her when I was a baby, but we hadn't spoken, we hadn't spoken for years and years and years. Other stuff. Anyway. But when she passed away, my son saw her. He kept going, Grandma, 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 Grandma. He said her name. And my mom walked out. I never knew what her name was. I didn't know her name. And Wub kept saying that. And I was like, oh, that must be off of one of your cartoons. Okay, yada, yada, yada. Or it's a spirit or whatever. Okay, cool. Hi, la-di-da. And I'm just going about my thing because I have to switch down into my sight. He has it going all the time. My mom walked around a corner and he said that name and pointed and her face turned white. My mom is Hispanic, okay? Yeah. Her face turned white. I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, that's my mother's name. And this was before she had gotten the notice that her mom had passed. And so she then got the notice and she's like, oh my God. I'm like, oh, cool. So she came back to say hi. Boy, are you in trouble, Mom. All the skeletons came running right out of your closet. But, and so I dropped down and I spoke a little bit with her, with my abuela.
Mhm.
And I had my friend there to make sure everything was, because when you have a personal spirit, it behooves you to have a third party there that's impartial.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
And we figured out, she stuck around my son. She
Yeah.
stuck around my son, but the one thing she asked me was to teach him Spanish. That was the only request she had. I was like, okay, I'll try. I'm really gonna try. We're working on sign language and Spanish.
That
Go.
that is so funny because my son, so he sees my abuela, and he's like, I downloaded this app to learn Spanish. I'm like, okay, let's test it out. And
Oh,
I'm
no.
like, okay, are you sure that's how you say it? He's like, yeah. And I go, no, you got to change this. But of course, I'm like, okay, just being very technical here. But he's like, no, abuela wants me to really learn
Yeah.
the language. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. So he's actually been finding interest. And so I will sit with him and I will teach him. He's asking more for words like spiritual words.
Mhm.
So I have to share that with him. I'm like, okay, this is how you say this, or spirits and blah, blah.
Well,
But it's interesting you say that because
you're super lucky because you actually speak it. I was raised by
Yeah.
my dad. He didn't speak Spanish. He's German, baby.
oh,
Yeah, no, this is a whole new field of experience. Luckily, my mom, she still remembers some of the Spanish, but because she had to talk to her grandma, who only
yeah.
knew Spanish. Okay. But yeah, no, I'm like, I'm gonna try, Grandma, but I'm okay. Yep, I'm on it.
You're asking ChatGPT, how do I say this? Hold on.
Exactly, but luckily my husband, Dennis, he is on it. He's like in it. He's like, yeah,
Yep.
man, we're all gonna learn Spanish. Yeah. I'm like, cool. I know more Japanese than I do Spanish, and even my Japanese, it's atrophied horribly,
And it goes back to our roots,
Mhm.
remembering. So my husband is half Chinese.
Oh, wow.
So
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's some diverse background there.
It is. There's a lot. And so,
But that's also going to be really fun to pull from ancestor-wise.
yeah, I love learning all of that. So I love learning both backgrounds and the history. And it's just so beautiful. And even though there have been some members or family members that made not so good choices, it's like, okay, well, let's go back into the history. But yeah, so that's a whole other topic. But yeah.
Every culture's ledger runs red with blood.
Yep.
And when you have a family, there are going to be plenty of family members that do dumb stuff.
Yep. I
Just
agree.
how it goes. They're people.
Yep.
Beth Coles, my friend, wrote the Spirit trilogy based on the Axe Murder House. I'll reach out to her. You should read them. Support you, girl. Thank you, Beth. That will be awesome. Okay, Beth Coles. Again, sorry, guys. I'm just feeling really terrible. Beth Coles, I know when I'm feeling others' feelings, peace, light, and love in my mind over and over. Okay, cool.
Aww.
Beth makes perfect sense. And then Beth, I only know cussing words in Spanish. Watching my uncles cuss at the desk.
Chingado, no.
Oh my God. But they are fun. I will tell you, they're fun. But I don't teach those to my son. Ever. No. Oh, he hears me swear. I mean, oh my God. It's so bad because I've got a customer service and retail background. And so that right there, yeah, it's bad. And I grew up with my dad swearing around me too. My mom was the Virgo, and she was like, "Oh my God, you must never swear. It is a prostitution of language." Not my dad. Oh my God. Now keep in mind, my dad is classically trained as a group therapist. He went to college. He's got vocabulary and everything, but you wouldn't know it. He sounds like he's straight up from the hood. Okay. Okay. Oh, he is born and raised Flint, Michigan, and he sounds really bad. But you know, I got raised by dad, so of course, yes, I've got a good vocabulary, but swearing is just gonna happen. It's gonna happen no matter what.
Vocab and potty mouth.
Yeah. For the longest time when my son was little, he would only repeat the swear words Dennis said.
Interesting.
And I'm like, oh my God, you're teaching him bad habits. He's like, ah! Because I'm just swearing up a storm, and Wub wouldn't say anything. He wouldn't copy. But the second Daddy said it, bam, he's like, I did this once in traffic. Why? Because Dennis tried to be so careful around him. And now Arthur's 9 and he's grown up a little bit. So now he's starting to mimic some of mine. And I always tell him, like, that is a 25-year and older word.
Yeah.
And he's like, mm-hmm. Hold on.
Aww.
Beth Coles. My nickname in Spanish is Dirty White Girl. Oh, damn, Beth. Okay. Oh, that's funny.
It's funny, but it's kind of, I don't know.
I know, right?
Not
I don't know, Beth. How do you feel about that? I guess
It might be, I don't know, Beth, do you swear a lot? Is that what the reference to dirty is?
dirty white girl. I'm trying to think of every word that would be dirty white girl.
Like, yeah. It's like,
Basura, blanca basura. Okay, we're not gonna.
okay. No. Anyways, all right. So
This was fun.
yeah, it really was. I'm really glad. I almost canceled tonight because just not feeling so great. But I'm really, really glad we came on, and I'm glad you came on.
Yeah, this is really good, and I appreciate just coming on here and sharing whatever I had to offer.
Also, I'm going to ask you about wholesale sage. I don't know if I'd be able to afford it, but I will message you later about it.
$1 million. No, I'm just joking.
I'm going to need a loan from you for the million.
I thought I'd try.
Right? Hey, doesn't hurt to try.
Blue sage is on.
No, yeah, we offer a lot of our products wholesale and private labels. So one of our popular ones is a Florida water, as I mentioned. So, but yeah, just reach out and.
Oh yeah, I will send you the anthologies to share out with the people you know, and if you have to be writing yourself, and then once I get people gathered together for the nonfiction anthology, I will send that over to you so you can see if you or anyone that you network with would like to contribute.
Okay, perfect.
And if you know any other curanderas, see if they would be open to being interviewed and stuff like that.
Okay, I will. Okay,
awesome.
Thank you.
Don't feel bad when you try and network and people are like,
I've learned, I finally realized my Sagittarius ass just had to be like, okay, bye. Instead of being like, I'm going to attack you.
Well, Antoinette has a really good saying. She's a Pisces tiger, and she always says, no means next opportunity. She's really good at this.
Oh, no means next opportunity. I love that.
Okay. I'm glad to see you girls. I'll reach out to you. Thanks, Beth. Mwah.
Oh, thank you so much.
On that note, I think I am going to kill it and go lay down.
It's 11:11 over there right now, right?
That's right. Awesome. About my author friends. Thank you, Beth. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You guys have a good night.
You too, babe. Thanks for coming on.
Bye.
Bye. All right, y'all. That was M. Wheeler of the Sage Ranch LLC. She's absolutely awesome. She will have articles in Celestial Imprints New Age magazine once we get it out. And thank you all for hopping on and watching us and hanging out. And like, comment, subscribe, follow. If you have any questions, message us. And if you have anybody you want to see on here as a guest, message us. Nicole, what am I forgetting?
My brain is a little toasty. I keep yawning over here and having the whole eyes squinty, feel like they're gonna roll.
Okay. All right, fine. You know what? Somebody still thought you were my kid. You're only 3 years younger than me. They thought you were my kid. Okay. All right. Well, bye-bye, butterflies. Have a great night. And thank you, Nicole, for coming on. I appreciate it. Beth Coles. Night. Night, Beth. You're always awesome. Here we go. Let's see if the tech will work.